I was a speaker last time. I will be looking to see how he incorporated suggestions from last time. I think I've got those in my head. And what was the title of your speech? I didn't have that. I had time management, I remember.
The title is Time Management, the art of getting more done.
Okay, sorry. So I look forward to hearing this speech from Aaron.
Thank you. Now we're in a bit of an awkward spot. Who
Do you want me to introduce you?
Yes, someone can introduce me. I believe you introduced me last time, so it might make sense.
I'm going to be the stand-in Toastmaster.
Thank you.
I'm the presumptive Toastmaster. In fact, I'm the putative Toastmaster.
Ooh, okay.
Our speaker for tonight is Aaron Russell, who would like to once again take some of your valuable time away from you so he can talk about an important concept, time management. Aaron is a manufacturing engineer at John Deere in Ottumwa, and he's been a Toastmaster for about a year. He's wowed us with some of his other speeches and done well in the regional contest. In fact, he's brought us to the top of the Tall Tales competition. But in his spare time, he enjoys playing guitar, reading, and working on house projects. Again, the title of his speech is Time Management, the Art of Getting More Done. Please join me in welcoming Aaron Russell.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home, time is something of a peculiar concept, isn't it? Sometimes an hour can feel like it lasts an eternity, while other times a whole day can come and go, just like that. And no matter how much time we have, it never feels like we have enough to get everything accomplished. That's why it's important that we manage our time properly. So tonight I'll teach you some basic time management techniques, including prioritizing our work, pacing ourselves properly, and better managing of our distractions. And I guarantee that if we follow these techniques, we will find ourselves accomplishing more than we ever thought possible. The first, and in my opinion, most important way that we can better manage our time is by prioritizing our work. But in order for us to do this, we first need to understand what are our priorities. Well, at work, this is actually relatively simple. It's the stuff you were hired on to do, the stuff your boss is holding you accountable for. But on a personal level, our priorities are a little more specific to each of us based on what it is that we value. For example, the fact that we're all in this room right now probably means that we value developing our public speaking skills. And as such, we have chosen to make this meeting a priority. But in order for us to act on each of these priorities, we first need to set goals, actionable items that we want to have completed by a given point in time. And with each of these goals, we need to set milestones that will allow us to periodically check in with ourselves on how well we're accomplishing our goals. And these milestones can then be broken down further into weekly or even daily tasks that will essentially become our prioritized to-do list. For example, one of my goals is to become level 3 in my pathways by the end of the Toastmasters year. And in order for me to accomplish this, I've set milestones as far as when I want to accomplish each of my speeches. And then each of these speeches could be broken down into weekly sets as far as how far I want to get into each speech. For example, tonight, my goal this week was to finalize the draft of my speech and memorize it so I could present it at tonight's meeting. The second way that we can better manage our time is by pacing ourselves properly. Now, a lot of people might think that the best way of getting the most amount of work done is to just simply plow through the day, not taking any breaks whatsoever, and just go, 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 go. However, not only is this way of working very harmful to our health, it's not the most productive way. Research shows from a study that the University of Illinois did that workers, when faced with a repetitive task, performed a lot better when they took frequent breaks throughout the work. The team behind a successful productivity app, Desk Time, looked at some of the most productive workers in the world and found the ideal work cycle to be 17 minutes of break for every 52 minutes of work. This equates to spending 25% of our day at rest. For an 8-hour workday, this is 2 hours out of our day that we're spending not working. During this time, we can do anything from take a nap, meditate, browse the internet, anything that makes us feel relaxed. And in fact, what's happening during this time is that our brain is actually processing all the information related to the work that we've just done, saving up brain space for the work that we'll be doing in the future. It might seem kind of hard to believe at first that we can actually get more done by taking more breaks, but by doing this, we can actually allow ourselves to be more focused and increase the amount of creativity that we have and decrease the chance that we're going to be making mistakes in our work, all of which that will save us tons of time. The final way that we can better manage our time is by managing our distractions. And this is a key concept in today's world because we are in the age of communication between phone calls, text messages, emails, social media, and others. We are constantly being bombarded by communications that are distracting us. But there's things that we can do to help. For example, one of my biggest blunders. The other day I was writing an email at work when all of a sudden I got a notification on my phone. Bling! Told me one of my best friend's birthday was that day. Well, I couldn't pass the opportunity to wish my friend a happy birthday, so I dropped that email I was writing, took out my phone and wrote a very, very, very nice happy birthday message to my friend, and next thing I realized I was browsing Facebook for about 20 minutes. Now these minor distractions throughout the day, happening once or twice, it's not the end of the world, but if it happens a lot, it can absolutely tank our productivity. Instead, I recommend that we find periodic points throughout the day, maybe 3 times throughout the day, where we just take care of all of those notifications at once. That way, we don't get distracted by each individual notification as we receive it. Another example on distractions happened the other day when I was working on this speech. My wife came up to me and asked me if I wouldn't mind helping her take out the garbage. Well, I told her my gut feeling was to say, in a minute, honey, I'm a little busy right now. Well, next thing you know, a minute turned into a few hours. And I had that little voice in the back of my head saying, make sure you don't forget to help your wife out with taking out the trash. And I began to realize that that voice was distracting me from the work that I was doing on this speech. In situations such as this, where the task might take 5 minutes or so, it actually makes more sense to just get it done right away. That way you can just get that task out of your mind and away from you so that you can focus on the work that you want to get done instead of letting it fester and distract you even further. So there you have it. Now you have the tools that you need to better manage your time. If we just prioritize our work, pace ourselves properly, and manage our distractions better, we can find ourselves getting way more done than we ever thought possible. Because hey, the time that we have is limited, so we really need to make the most of it.
Thank you, Aaron. Take 2 minutes. Timer, please give us 2 minutes to do our evaluation of Aaron's speech.
Mr. Timer, did our speaker qualify?
No.
Yes.
Oh,
No,
what is
you
it?
get 30 seconds extra.
Oh, you have 30
30
seconds.
seconds.
Okay. I'm sure. I didn't know what the grace time. Okay, it says 30 seconds grace time.
Yeah.
The speaker qualified.
Good.
Thank you.
I'm just learning. Please forgive my ignorance.
Timing is a hard job. It's a hard one.
So now,
It's easy.
Vote for the best.
It's good.
do we vote already?
No, I'm just saying, we don't have to vote for the best speaker.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
now I would like to call up our evaluator for tonight,
Mhm.
Miss Jean Symington Craig,
Okay.
if she's ready. Or would Jean like us to move on to table topics so she gets more time?
Chicken scratching. Well, what do you think?
I'm asked.
Okay, so why don't you call up the general evaluator?
First, I'd like to call up our general evaluator, who's also Jean Symington Craig.
So thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. At this point, I would like to introduce again Aaron's evaluator. Put on the other hat, again, Jean Symington Craig. So, will you just confirm for me your title was time management, how to get
sorry.
things done?
Time management, the art of getting more done.
The art of
I
getting it done.
apologize.
Okay, all right, so I haven't quite started yet. Things done. What? Clarification. Okay. Well, all right, now, that's the evaluator. Thank you, Aaron. Great speech. Really, I'm just thrilled to be able to evaluate Aaron on what I think is just a stellar job with the previous speech and then following up here. Right off the bat, his previous speech had something to do with how to reduce stress. And one of the critiques I gave was he didn't really talk about stress in the talk. So we got rid of that stress. Let's just talk about how to get things done. So that really took a lot of issue off of the table. Then he gave 3 main points. His structure was superb. I had suggested to him another point was that he cut down a number of his sub-points. He had 3 main points of prioritizing, pacing properly, and managing distractions, but then under each one of those, he had a number of pieces. It was just too hard to remember as an audience, and they were so valuable. We want to make sure we got the best ones. So he cut those down. He gave action steps for each piece. So after he gave explanations, he also gave examples. Talked about his wife asked him to take out the garbage, or examples of how we all have these distractions and how that all works, and his birthday friend and how he got caught up, and all things that we can relate to and helped us bond with him. Yeah, he knows what we're dealing with. But he gave action steps that is always very valuable for the audience. So on the prioritizing, create steps, tasks and milestones and goals, and then stick with those, both business and personal. The pacing properly, the step was take breaks to get more done, which is after he had built his case that's what actually you should do. So I'm going, okay, good, so I should just do that. And he also had an action step about the managing distractions. So he says, rather than get distracted throughout your day, just get one time and check everything, and then you're done. And you won't be so distracted and get caught up. That was really excellent structure. I was able to follow it completely. Another thing that he did that I recommend from last time was he referenced a couple of studies and like that, and his goal was to put information in as to where that study was. So he did give the University of Illinois in a study, and you might have given the year, a study in 1985, show, just because people may want to go look that up. And you also gave another reference to something about work cycle. I didn't quite catch it, but another professional organization that works with this area, or in this area. So that was a really good, again, applying the critique, the feedback from last time into the current piece. He finished on time. He wasn't talking nearly as quickly as he was before. And his conclusion, he had his 3 main points, and he gave us some life wisdom, because hey, life is short. So that was like the big aha. Loved it.
You hand it back to yourself.
I will hand it back to myself.
And then according to this, you can hand it to me because this is
Yeah.
non-scheduled. That's what it is.
Okay. Did I have any extra time on that?
You completed 3 minutes 22 seconds, so qualified.
No, I missed it if I was 32.
No, 22. I said 22.
22.
Oh, yeah.
8 seconds.
So
Okay.
you had about 8
Okay.
seconds.
Recalling my time. More eye contact, you're a little inward. I want to make sure you do the same speech, but really land your ideas. Okay, thank you. That was my one suggestion. All right, so now Jean hands back to Jean, the general evaluator. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call up our table topics master, and that is
Beta Royale.
Veda Royale. That's what I thought. All right, let's welcome Veda. Okay.
So I'd like to take a moment to talk about the theme of the meeting, which was not mentioned at the beginning of the meeting by the Toastmaster.
Whoops.
However, it's a good thing I'm mentioning it because it's the most confusing thing ever. The meeting theme says working together. And we certainly did get a theme about working from Aaron. However, the secondary theme, which kept coming up at me, like, this is not the right theme to talk about. It's the middle of summer. We're talking about how all these people are on vacation. We have such a smaller meeting because of vacation. And then I look also at the quote, which says, if you want to travel fast, go alone. If you want to travel far, go together. Another travel theme. So travel and vacation is the theme. That's the true theme. So I'm going to do my topics on travel and vacation. So I'm going to give people a number 1 to 8, and they're going to, we might have 1 or 2 extras, so whoever wants to go will get the topic. However, if they have not had the experience, I tell them they can choose another number. I will be giving them a topic on vacations or experiences they've had, usually while traveling. My first volunteer is Dee Stouffer. Thank you. Now keep in mind, Dee, that you will have 30 seconds extra in the beginning to think about the topic. So timer, consider the 30 seconds until he starts speaking, not in the time. D, number 1 through 8.
7.
7 is, tell us about a boat trip or a cruise ship or some water vessel that you've had an actual excursion on. Substantial excursion. D?
Thank you. Toastmasters viewers at home. My grandparents and my father spent times in Florida during the winter. My grandparents always went down there. They lived in a trailer park in southern Florida. And my uncle built a boat in a barn in Ohio. We took the boat down. So my dad and I were out on this boat. And it's one of these large boats, and cabin cruiser type things. And we go out into the water. I don't know if you've been in the water before, you know how the horizon goes up and goes down. And I'm like a 6 or 7 year old kid. So before we go, I'm gonna go to some restaurant and get flapjacks. You know, I have no idea what's going on. So get on the boat, and you know, when you go out into the ocean, you go through the breakwater. So it's kind of choppy, going up and down, up and down, up and down. And they have these things you sit on with the long poster, and you put the fishing line in there to go. So we're sitting there for a while, and of course nothing's happening, and you know, the ocean going up and down like this, you begin to feel a little funny. So we spent the next 20 minutes down where the bathroom is, watching our breakfast go out to sea. That was my experience in the ocean, deep water fishing. And I'll never forget that, because at a later date we went out on a smaller boat, and I didn't see the light. Oh, okay. And there's fish all around. You throw your line in, you didn't have to have bait on it. Fish would get it and we take it out. And it was a tremendous experience for me. Thank you.
All right, the next volunteer may come up with that one eliminated.
When you turn the lights on, do you mind leaving them on instead of turning them on?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I thought it was just sitting on the.
Yeah.
Just lying on it,
Sure.
Is there, Carmen, would you like to come up?
oh, okay, sure. Yay.
Hi, Carmen. Give me a number, not 7, between 1 and 8.
Number 4.
Carmen, I hope you've been in a hotel or a motel in your life, on a trip. If you could think of an interesting experience with a hotel or motel that you've gone to, anything special or unusual, please tell us about that.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, honorable guests, viewers at home. I have been in one hotel in Las Vegas, the one that was really good couple of years ago. It was called Luxor, and I was there after 1 year that it was inaugurated. So everything was really new. As soon as I saw the pyramid with the light really, really high, I thought, oh my goodness, this is gonna be an adventure. Because I like pyramids, and because I like fancy stuff, even though I don't have a lot of money, but I like to be fancy sometimes. So, you know, Las Vegas, they treat you like you are a king or a queen. So they put a red carpet and you just go there and you have a little baggage and you feel really good. The rooms were a little bit of expensive, but not so much. But you feel the energy. I really liked the energy of the pyramid. Maybe it was in my imagination, but I really take it. It was a good service, good buffet. I recommend it. I don't know if a couple of years, maybe it's not good right now, but I never came back. But I think it was a good experience. I really recommended at that time to my friends. I bought a little pyramid. This is still in my apartment right now, from Las Vegas to Iowa. So thank you.
Thank you, Carmen. And let me just remind people when they leave the stage, they should be saying, thank you, Mr. or Madam Topic Master. Just a gentle reminder. Otherwise, a great job talking about a fun experience. So we'd like the next person, would you like, our guest would like to come up?
Go ahead, Adi.
Our guest from Jordan, new MUM student, Mr. Adi.
Yeah.
Adi, give me a number between 1 to 8 and not 4 and not 7. 3. If you've been to a mountain or had a vacation on a mountain, I'd like you to tell us about that experience. Have you been to any mountain or been in the mountains? If you've never been to any mountain at all, or you couldn't invent something, then you could choose a different number.
5 chosen or not?
5 would be okay. Have you ever been fishing? Use
Okay,
that.
6 last.
No, that's not gonna work for you. What you have just come from, I'm going to give you another. You've just come from Jordan. So tell us about any special vacation you had with your family growing up in Jordan, because I'm sure it's a beautiful country and you have seen many interesting things.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Aki.
you. Good evening, Toastmasters. Good evening, people in the home. I'm from Jordan. And Jordan, when you say Jordan, you remember Petra. It's one of the seventh wonderland places on earth. If you don't know Petra, Petra is like it was built in rock. Like it's like a mountain. People they engraved the Petra and like made it. So it's like that's why it's a very, very interesting place to visit. And close to Petra there is Wadi Rum. It's like Wadi in Arabic means valley, like Ram Valley, but we call it like Wadi Rum even in English. And where people they go and meditate, they go and see stars. Like, and if you know, we have very, very, very Hollywood movies. They were filmed in Jordan, specifically in Wadi Rum. Like The Martian, if you know The Martian.
The Martian.
Yeah, it was filmed in Jordan.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and also we have a couple of films, Aladdin, the new movie. They're filming now the last the last film in Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
So we're a country, we're a small, like when you go to Petra, you need like 3 days to stay. Because you will go to Petra one day, you discover everything inside Petra, and then you sleep over in Wadi Rum. And you see the stars, the calm, and you feel like you're in the space. And hope you visit Jordan one day. Thank you.
Great, I'm glad that none of them fit you. Because that was actually a more interesting question if I had thought of it first. We have some more people who could come up. David, you could come up and someone else could time for you, if you'd like. Okay, David, why don't you stand over here?
Sure.
So I can retreat gracefully to my seat. We have numbers still, we have the same, 1 through 8. Do not choose 4 or 7. Pick a number, any number.
Okay. 8.
Great.
8 for good.
In America, we're very used to taking trips in the automobile. Have you ever taken an automobile trip, a car trip, anywhere significant? So we can ask you to please tell us about a memorable car trip you had at any time in your life, and we'd enjoy hearing about it. So Dave.
Table master.
Tabletop.
Master. Okay. Sure. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, and table topic master. And it's such an easy topic because it's something that stuck to my mind for a very long time. This happened last winter, where as a family, we thought we would drive up to North Dakota. But it was such an interesting season to drive up. It was during December, just before Christmas. And we thought we'll take the route through Montana and reach Idaho and then reach Utah. So me being here, I had to drive up to North Dakota to take my family, that's where my wife and kids are, and then drive up there to Idaho, visit with some of my friends, and then go up to Utah. The interesting part about this journey was while coming back to North Dakota. So I chose to leave early because I happened to learn that there's going to be snow blizzards and it's going to be pretty heavy. So I left early a day before so that I can actually drive before this snow blizzards hit. But when I started driving, unfortunately, the snow blizzards had started early. It so happened as I was driving, there's so much of snow blizzard, so I wasn't able to stop anywhere, just stop for fueling the car. It took me 17 hours to drive all the way from Idaho to North Dakota. And my sweet wife, who decided not to take a license so that she can just enjoy sitting next to me and sleeping. And I was the only one where I had to drive for all the 17 hours. That's such a memorable journey for me.
As soon as you said December in North Dakota, I was like, count me out of that trip.
Yeah. hang on.
So we have a volunteer with Dan. Dan is eliminated.
Why don't you just pick one for me?
7, 4,
We can just do it
7,
like that.
7, 4, and 8. Just give me another number between 7, 4, and 8. Not 7, 4, and 8. Any other number.
1.
Dan? You look like you might have been a Boy Scout. Or, no?
2.
This is about having been in the woods, having an experience of a vacation or a time in your life where you spent a substantial time in the woods, trees, or camping, something of that sort. Have you ever done that?
Yes.
Yes. So Dan, please tell us about an interesting experience or time in your life when you spent time in the woods.
Mr. Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, honored guest, viewers at home. I'm going to cheat a little bit. This is about the woods, though I wasn't actually camping. Once I went on a vacation to Durango, Colorado, which is a very beautiful spot. We stayed in an old fishing cabin. It was a pretty grungy place, but it was just so gloriously beautiful everywhere that it didn't matter. And it was sitting right next to a stream. So there was this constant sound of rushing water. That was the background. This was the first week in October. At that time in Colorado, in that part of Colorado, the aspens all turn gold. The other main vegetation is huge evergreen trees. So you'd go for a walk through the woods and it was just, your mouth was just sort of dropping open. It was just so beautiful. Gold. Gold and little green highlights. The other wonderful thing about it was that at that time of year in the Rockies, it gets fairly warm during the day. So at night it was hitting almost freezing, But then by the time the sun came up, the bright sunshine, that thinner air in the Rockies, 70 degrees, you felt like you could walk around in shorts. It was just the most glorious time. And I'm not great at camping, to tell the truth, so it was nice to be able to take day hikes and come back every day to a cabin, have a shower. It was the best of all possible worlds. I'd like to repeat that vacation again sometime. The last thing I'll mention is that I had bought a guidebook. A fellow who is a native to that area had written, 13 day hikes you can take in the Durango Mountains, or whatever he called it. It'll be worth doing again. Mr. Thomas.
Beautiful, Dan, and very inspiring. We will take a moment to vote for the best topics. Did everyone qualify? David?
Yes, all the
Please read-
speaker.
Please read the name of the speakers, not the time.
Okay. So B qualified, Carmen qualified, Adi qualified, me qualified, David qualified, Dan qualified.
Okay, great. That's your choices, D, Adi, David, and Dan. Please cast your votes. If you'd like a piece of paper, we have, if you don't have a piece of paper,
Tear
you
this up.
can.
Did you do that too?
I am at the lectern, and I will be returning control to the general evaluator.
Oh, yeah.
So this concludes the end of the table topics portion of the meeting,
Okay.
and we will be rejoined by our general evaluator to continue the evaluation section of the meeting.
Okay, we're gonna have. Thank you. Okay. Now we'd like to hear from our table topics evaluator. Carmen, is that, you're ready? All right, let's please warmly welcome Carmen. Ani, we evaluate table topics. Did you do that in your club too? Okay, great.
Sometimes we do.
And we had how many people? 4 did we have?
So we had 4.
4.
But
Table
I'll
topics.
be staying here, like not in Iowa, but in the US, like 3 years.
Yeah, okay.
So I've been Toastmasters.
3 to 4
minutes? Yeah.
No,
2
2 to 3, 2 to 3 minutes.
2 to 3 minutes.
Oh,
2 to 3 minutes time.
You can do it.
Thank you, table topics master. They were really good questions. I really enjoyed mine. So we were having 5 people, and I'm going to start with the first one, D. D, great, the audience. His theme was the boat, have a family and the boat experiences. He was having a good hand movement, I really like it. But at the same time, I think that you have to use a little bit more of the stage, like maybe walking. When you walk, it creates also, it creates like the audience is just having some capturing on your story. And a little bit of more tone in your voice will be better. For Adi, our guest, you greet, which is really good. Your country, Petra, I never been there, but looks like it's really nice, and I would like to be there someday. You gave us a good geography of how it's your country. The same, I think if you have a little bit more use of your stage, like walking, or maybe just adding some colorful, or maybe a little bit of joke or something like that, it would be nice. For David, you greet, that's good. Your theme was the car trip. your introduction was great because when I hear the introduction, I know how what's going on. But I recommend you to have more eye contact for each of the people here, because I know that you were just staring on the wall over there, and we do that one every time. So, and then I know that your theme was, you agreed, that's good, but your theme was something in the goods, that you were cheating and you were talking about camping, which I think is good. You always do good hand movements, but if you put your tone of voice when you are just saying a story, that would be so interesting. Because you have a good hands movement. But if you say, oh my gosh, and then everybody goes, oh, what happened, right? Something like that. And then a little bit of, I know that you try to go with your hands here, but you don't walk. So it's just going like this direction, back and forth, back and forth. But the story was great, and all the stories were great. Thank you.
To Miss General Evaluator. Biz.
Welcome.
See what happens when you go away?
I know. I forgot everything.
Right. Thank you. Table Topics Evaluator, really helpful there. Mr. Timer, did our 2 evaluators qualify? That would be Carmen and me.
Yeah, you qualify, that's what it said, that's, Carmen, she didn't qualify, she just went 1 second.
Ooh.
1 second. Now, did you include the thank you as part of that, or not?
It doesn't matter, it's a spoken
No, I know,
word.
I just want to ask, did you include the thank you or not?
When she completed, I just hit the button,
Okay,
so.
because then she sort of paused and then she said thank you or something like that, so.
Still,
So I just,
Sure,
this is a teaching moment.
I usually include the thank you. Are you not supposed to?
No, you are supposed to, and so that, it's this kind of a lesson that, when you've got a red light, you wanna stop. And if you finish and then you go, thank you, like that, then he has to keep timing you, and that can bump you up a couple seconds. So that's why I was asking the question.
Oh, I thought you were.
I know, but 1 second is
If
over,
we just
is
start,
1 second over.
we're gonna start.
If you were in a competition, you'd be out.
1 second.
Yes,
Okay.
that happened to me
Yeah.
All right.
at a division contest. It was
Whoa.
horrifying.
Okay.
1 second.
1 second, I was over. But, you're over. So anyway, that's why I was asking that question. So yes, you do, if the
Okay.
person is talking, you have to time it.
I thought you were talking about the thank you at the beginning, like Toastmasters guess. I include that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, as soon as your
Open
first
your
words
mouth.
out of your mouth, that's when the timer starts, and the last words. Okay. You don't have to thank people at the end. You can just stop, and then you can hold out your hands like,
That looks outward to me. Just stop. It's like a.
it's a,
It looks,
well,
I look really outward.
you can stop, and then you can smile and look very confidently at the Toastmaster, whoever that is, like, nailed it.
Zip it up.
It's the gymnastics, nailed it.
it's
They don't
not
go.
ideal,
They don't go.
but if you're trying to do your timing, it's not ideal.
Okay.
You don't have to thank anybody. You don't have to thank anybody, but particularly if you're on the red light, you want to,
Get it over.
you don't want to disqualify yourself. Okay, good, so we got that all clarified. Had a moment there. Now I'd like to get to our reports. First report I'd like to hear from is our timer.
You just,
And just all you do is just read the name, you know, what the category was, and then read name, time, name,
Okay,
time.
sure. This is general speech? Or
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
general speech.
Okay, general speech that was given by Aaron. He took 7 minutes and 20 seconds. And for the table topics, we have D who took 2 minutes and 21 seconds. Carmen, she took 1 minute and 50 seconds. And Adi would, he spoke for 1 minute and 56 seconds. And David, it's 2 minutes and 5 seconds. And Dan, we took 2 minutes and 15 seconds. So for the general speech evaluators, or you call
Just the two evaluators.
okay, the two evaluators, Jean, she took 3 minutes and 22 seconds, and Carmen took 3 minutes and 31 seconds.
Okay, so we both disqualified.
No, you were 31.
Oh,
No.
22, okay.
322 and
And I
331.
got my little
So,
recall.
so it's a little 1 second over the.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, good. Thank you. Good job. First time timing.
Well,
It's a big job. It's a lot of moving parts. So really, really good. Our next role player is me, as the grammarian. I heard one use of putative, and that was Veda. And that's my report. I didn't hear anything particularly outstanding. I didn't hear anything particularly bad either. I was listening. I would suggest, if you're finding that you're using words that are used a lot, like beautiful or happy, or try to think of some other word that is a little more descriptive or colorful or not quite used as often, because it will enhance your story, your speaking project. Our odd counter was D. Stuffer.
So the outcounter's role is to check tongue clicks, ahs, and all kinds of things. It's a break in thinking or giving a speech. So Aaron had 2 buts, 1 and. I had 1 and, 1 and I had 6 ahs. Carmen had 1 ah, 1 1 so, and 1 but. Adi had 4 ms, 2 likes, and 3 ands. David had 1 and, 2 buts, 1 so, 1 and 10 ahs. Dan had 2 buts and 1 so. Carmen had 2 ands, 5 buts, 1 so, 2 ums, and 2 ahs. And that's my report.
Good job. All over the map there. Now we hear from our joke master, Jean Craig.
I'm a journal evaluator, fellow Toastmasters. There was a court jester. One day he went a little too far. He insulted his king to the extent that the king said, that man has to die. We're going to execute him. He's just gone too far. Well, all the court was aghast. You know, that was the court jester's job, was kind of roast everybody. But, you know, the king had the final say. People kept begging the king, please, he served you so well all these years, have mercy on him. The king cooled off a little bit, and he decided he still has to die. But in my benevolence, I'm going to allow him to choose how he would like to die. So the court jester thought it over a while, and he said, if it's all the same to you, my lord, I would like to die of old age.
Very clever. Very clever. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Joke Master. Now it's my job as a general evaluator to evaluate the evaluators. We had 2 evaluators, one was me. So I'm not gonna do that exercise of evaluating myself. I probably could. But I also kind of forgot that I was supposed to be doing that for Carmen as well. But I am thinking Carmen is always so gentle and making you feel good about what you did and smiling at you, and I just think that's always really uplifting and encouraging. We talked about evaluation being to uplift and encourage a speaker to get up and do it again, and I think your manner is always that way. The one thing I would suggest would be that when you, for example, I think you said it for Dan, just as an example, you say some tone, a different tone, or is to do it. Give us an example of what that means. Yeah, Dan, I want to hear some, yahoo, like a higher tone or something. Okay, you do some, and you do some gestures and like, so just make sure whenever you give a suggestion, this would be my one feedback would be to see if you can also demonstrate it. Okay. But other than that, that's that. And I will go ahead now and hand it off back to our Toastmaster. I know. Okay, good.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. It's my pleasure to present the meeting awards for tonight. First, we have Best Speaker. That would be me.
Yay!
Thank you. Next, we have our Best Evaluator. Jean. And finally, Best Table Topic. Jean Craig.
Surprise, surprise.
And you're gonna turn it,
Now I'll
Back
turn it
over
over
to
to
me.
our president,
excellent
Jean
timing.
Craig.
I'm looking for the weapon, there it is. We have just a few minutes before our time of the meeting is up. We had an enjoyable meeting. I'm going to ask Adi to stand if you would and just tell us one thing you enjoyed about our meeting tonight.
Can I say nothing?
It wasn't a single
like
thing
I
you
was
liked.
to be honest, like I see like the passion, like I can feel passion. I can see energy, positive energy. Even like we're like few people, but we're doing great. To be honest, like I'm happy that there's a club here with this kind of members. So I'm glad to be like one of you. I'll come because as I said, I'll be here like for 8 months. So like if you allow me to join, that would be great. And I'm glad like to have you friends as well. Thank you.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you. We're glad to start to get to know you, and we're going to enjoy having you as part of our club. Is there any item of business, Jean?
As the Vice President of Education, I just want to confirm speeches. I'd like to actually, I was talking to Aaron about this, I'd like to actually see how our agenda works with 2 speakers. So we have Dan was scheduled for next week, and just through a little miscommunication, you get an extra week.
I'm so happy about that.
Yeah. So we can put you in for next week also?
Sure.
We need to, yeah,
Okay.
I'll let you answer the question.
Do you have
Okay.
mentors?
Yes.
I know Dan is actually gonna give a speech next week, that's what Dan was saying.
Yes.
If you allow me to have like 2 weeks, I can prepare well, but if you want me to do it next week, I'm okay with that. So whatever is your preference, I'm okay with that. So the more I get, the better prepared I.
We could try, I mean, it's a 4 to 6 minute speech, right? So I don't see any reason why we couldn't fit it in next week.
Yeah.
We just have to have shorter table time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead, sometimes you just wanna get up, jump off and get your feet in there.
I mean,
Sure.
if you are already prepared for today, it shouldn't be too much more.
Sure.
Okay, good. All right, so you're doing yours and then, you've done your pathways and, because I will then be able to see, you've selected, you've gone in and picked out your pathway?
That I was just kind of reading those basic instructions, but you want me to go out and
You should select a path, yes.
okay, which I didn't do it. I'll try to.
Have you taken, now there's like an evaluation to choose which path is best for you. Have you done
An
that?
assessment.
Or an assessment?
The initial assessment, no, I haven't done that.
Okay.
I would do that. Okay, he was
So the-
talking to me something about that, but I think that's a portion that I didn't hear. Because I was expressing
We
more of
can-
my challenges and the fear that.
That'll be something that
Yeah, we can
Eric
work on
can
it
show you the ropes
sometime.
on, so that'll be a
But
good
if you-
mentor thing to do.
And if you've already kind of written the speech, because regardless of which pathway you are on or path you're on, this first project is the same, so just hold that.
Mhm.
So, Aaron, I'm just gonna presume that you're
But
gonna
an
go next
icebreaker is
week.
gonna be the same,
Yeah, that's what
whatever
I'm
the
saying.
path.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
It's gonna be
gonna
nice.
put you in,
Mhm.
okay? And then you can kind of catch, connect the dots for him. Yeah, good. Okay,
I'm gonna ask that if there's more scheduling to do, that we do it just after the meeting's
Mhm.
concluded. Are there any other pieces of business? Carmen?
Membership fees are due. So I think we are having like extra points if it's paid before October the 4th, something like that.
yeah, there is a points.
We always have to turn it in before the due date, which in this case is October 1st. But they decided to open it up earlier
Through,
so that from this point through October 1st, you can go ahead and turn in the membership as it's
So, but they say also that you can do it online, right? So can you do it online?
I'll discuss it with you. The way we do it is have everyone pay the treasurer and have the treasurer go to the website and pay everything.
Okay, so you can pay me check.
How much is it? It's 50?
Cash, credit
It's gonna
card,
be $54 for the 6 months,
$54.
$9 a month.
Can you check and see if David actually paid through till next March 31st? I don't know if
No, I
he did.
paid till December, I paid $47, so that's what. I
Okay,
did.
so you probably, you were
So it's
just
due-
September 30th. Okay.
Okay, any other things we need to cover? Yes.
I'm just gonna say, once Dan gavels, I'd like everybody just to hold that spot, because I do wanna, getting the speeches, coming out is important. So you can go ahead and close the meeting, but I just wanna finalize that.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Stay and talk to Jean about speeches. Stay and help clean up. Thanks a
After you
lot.
talk to Jean about speeches.